Welcome back to the channel. In this video, Aron Ra takes on Christian apologist David Wood in a heated debate over naturalism and the supernatural. Wood argues that naturalism undermines our ability to trust human reasoning, while Aron pushes back against using philosophy as a substitute for actual evidence. The debate quickly becomes a clash over what can be demonstrated and who actually carries the burden of proof. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let's get into it.
There's never been any demonstration that we can actually verify that there is a supernatural. If there was, there wouldn't be just one. There'd be several of them, right? But there'd be something where we'd be able to know. I would be back where I was when I was in high school, when I thought there was verification of this, that there were people that were demonstrating telekinetic abilities or telepathic abilities, or that parapsychologists were actually finding ectoplasm and that we could examine the chemical construct of ectoplasm, when I thought that all of that shit was real. But one by one, everything falls apart. And now I'm asking you, as someone who actually holds to and takes seriously the naturalism position, which is that the people who believe in magic, the supernatural, have consistently failed to show that there's any truth to their position at all. I give you the position. I explain that I will hold to my part of the burden of proof. I explain the kinds of things that would convince me, which is entirely different than what you described about Dawkins. It's entirely different than what you paraphrased about me. I said what I would accept, what we should all accept, what we should expect. This is what I used to believe. This is what I used to think is the truth. And if it was the truth, and then all of these things would have been confirmed, I wouldn't have constantly only shown that everything is frauds, falsehoods, and fallacies and nothing beyond that. You would, at this point, not be pushing everything onto me to tell me that I need to prove a negative. You would be presenting a positive. You'd be showing that there is a supernatural. You'd be showing some way to objectively verify that. Not just one way, but several ways. But you haven't produced a way. Nothing at all. You have said a few things that have mischaracterized my position entirely, and that's literally all you've done. Can you do better than that, please?
Well, the topic is not Aron Ra's personal beliefs. The topic is...
Nor did I say so.
Is naturalism true?
Right, which is not my... I said I will hold the position that naturalism is true. I don't have a problem with that, but it's not my personal belief. We're not here for me personally. We're talking about objectively, as I've specified many times. Can you show that there is a supernatural addition to this natural world, other than making false statements that not assuming impossible nonsense for no good reason is somehow natural? Or, excuse me, rational was the word you used, which, by the way, that is absolutely the opposite of rational by definition.
So
look it up.
What?
Rational. Assuming impossible nonsense for no good reason, that is not rational.
Are atoms rational?
Are they assumed for no good reason?
No. Is an atom rational?
Is an atom rational?
Yeah.
To accept that atoms exist?
No. Is an atom rational? An atom itself a rational thing?
Okay, so
normally that would involve reason.
If I break down a cell phone, is any one component of the cell phone an entire cell phone?
I'm getting at the point. Like, do you believe all your thoughts are determined?
I'm not sure.
Because I don't want to misrepresent you. Do you believe your thoughts are determined by straightforward? Are they causally determined by physical process?
I'm not entirely sure.
So you might be you'd be open to supernatural.
No, what I'm saying. I'm not. That's not what I'm saying.
Okay.
Okay. I am open to whatever might be true. If you can show me that it might be true, I would be open to that. Now,
so you're not really a naturalist. You're saying I don't know. I don't know if naturalism is true or not.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I'm holding the position that there is no supernatural, because no one's ever been able to demonstrate that. Frauds, falsehoods, and fallacies are not evidence, and that's all I've ever seen.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying
do you have anything more than that?
Look, I do debates. If you want to debate the existence of God, or if you want to debate whether supernatural...
You're in a debate coincidentally right now. Do you have something to show that there is...
I would regard that as off topic. If you want to debate, is supernaturalism true?
We're in a debate on this topic. I ask you if you can debate this topic, and you said it's off topic.
We're in a debate titled, Is Naturalism True?
Can you show that naturalism is not true? Or am I on the wrong side of the table?
Listen, if our debate was, is metaphysical solipsism true? And I just sat back as a metaphysical solipsist. I believe I'm the only thing that exists. And I say, you prove to me you prove to me that you exist or that things exist outside of me. You're saying you wouldn't say no. If you're defending metaphysical solipsism, then you present your case.
I would have imagined you to say that.
Your case can't be, your case for metaphysical solipsism can't be, well, nothing anyone else is saying is proving some other position to be true.
Okay.
It would be, is your position true?
All right, so you can make up another debate that I wouldn't participate in which you could win because I wouldn't participate in that debate. But in the debate
no, I'm
that you
saying
are
I would participate in a debate called "Is Supernaturalism True?"
But I wouldn't.
If you,
oh, I'm sorry, if metaphysical, whatever.
Yeah.
In the hypothetical debate, I wouldn't be participating in that one. But this one, I'm okay with, and I'm expecting you.
It's a parallel.
I'm expecting. I'm taking the position that naturalism is, which is a ridiculous thing still, because it is a shifting of the burden of proof. But I'm still here for that. Because the burden for you is the same either way. You still have to show that naturalism is not true. The only way to do that is to show that there is a supernatural aspect. You have not even attempted to do that.
No, that's false.
I'm open to that.
The way to reject naturalism is not necessarily, that would be, proving supernaturalism would be one way to do it.
Yeah,
I've chosen a philosophical response, which again goes back. I mean,
demonstrates my position that you can't show that there is a supernatural.
No, that
aspect.
doesn't. I started off by pointing out that there are catastrophically self-destructive.
Did I win
systems.
this easily?
Has he shown that naturalism is true? I haven't seen an argument other than his personal experience.
Has he shown that it is not? I gave the criteria. I showed what it would take.
Yes,
I gave many different options that you could present.
I gave you multiple reasons to show that if we take your worldview seriously, we can't. That's naturalism. I'm not misrepresenting naturalism.
You mischaracterized my position a number of times. You said I didn't present
I don't know
a
what
case
your position is. If you're saying...
I know, and I just presented it.
I'm responding to a philosophical position called naturalism or metaphysical naturalism. That is a claim that the natural world is all that exists.
Right.
And as a follow-up to that, there's a question of how you would prove something like that false. The other issue is the worldview coherent? I'm saying it is incoherent.
Okay,
it's not the same as thinking that you're being constantly deceived by an all-powerful deceiver or something like that. If someone came up to me right now and said, David, my worldview is that I'm constantly being deceived by an omnipotent deceiver. Prove me wrong. It would not cross my mind to say, well, let me go through all the evidence and prove to you that there's no omnipotent deceiver. My response would be, if you take that seriously, you've got some problems. Here are the problems that you have. You cannot coherently hold that position. So now I'm saying that with a position like naturalism, again, it's not the exact same thing as an omnipotent deceiver, but you're dealing with fundamentally non-rational causes for everything you believe. You're dealing with cognitive faculties that have no business dealing with a topic like naturalism. Again, it's feeding, fighting, fleeing, and reproducing. It's not made for anything beyond that, and you're applying it. Again, this is Darwin, this is Hume. Hume talks about going far beyond what our faculties are made for, and you're judging the entire universe. So I'm pointing out those kinds of problems, which, again, all you have to do is say, okay, I don't affirm naturalism. I don't know what the case is, but I'm not a supernaturalist. That's it. But that would notice, then we would agree that we have no real reason to believe in naturalism.
Wood is giving evolution a job it never signed up for. Feeding, running from predators, reproducing, all of that already requires getting reality right most of the time. A creature that keeps mistaking tigers for bushes or poison for food does not last long. And from those basic survival tools, humans built language, math, experiments, peer review. Yeah, our brains are flawed. That is exactly why we invented ways to double-check ourselves. Solid reasoning can come out of messy hardware. And Aron is pointing at something bigger that Wood keeps dodging. Even if he somehow tore naturalism apart, that would not put a single point on the supernatural side. Reality does not owe us a two-option menu. Naturalism could be wrong, and Christianity could still be wrong right next to it. Knocking down one answer just removes one answer. It does not automatically hand the trophy to whoever is standing there. If the supernatural is real, it has to leave its own fingerprints. Otherwise, you are just weakening one suspect and pointing at another one without ever visiting the crime scene.
But no, yet, and Hume described why we should, because we have no choice but to accept as a beast would or as a baby would, that what our senses perceive is the truth of the matter. We don't have a choice in that. We have to accept the reality of these things. No, I note that you came up with a second hypothetical debate in which you would win that one, because I wouldn't even participate in that one either. But that second hypothetical debate still shows that you can't meet this one. The one you're in right now, where you're trying to prove that naturalism is not true. Because I can accept either side of this. I can accept that I either hold the position that there's just the natural and there is nothing else, in which case you would have to show me that there's something else, or I can say, hey, look, I realize that this is a shifting of the burden of proof. I believe that there is a natural world. Please show me that there's something else. In either case, you still have the same burden of proof. Either way, I gave you the criteria. I gave you the many different ways that you can meet that, and all you could do is mischaracterize my position and come up with hypothetical debates that apparently you wish you were in right now.
No, these are all meant as examples to illustrate some of the problem. And by the way, Hume is a perfect example.
You haven't presented a problem yet.
Hume is a perfect example right here. And this would be an example of what I'm talking about right now. If you asked Hume, is naturalism true? Hume would say, why the heck are you asking me? How would I know? How would I know that? How would I possibly know that? You go to Darwin. Hey, Darwin, does the universe look like it formed by chance? Do you think the universe by chance? No, I don't trust myself to talk about things like that. So you don't even have to be a supernaturalist. You don't have to prove supernaturalism. Again, I've agreed, if you want to have a debate where that's the topic, then I'm happy to do that. If the topic is naturalism true, you don't have to be a supernaturalist to reject naturalism. You can say, I don't know, I'm not made for this. Why would you even think? Why would you even think, given my cognitive abilities, that I'm capable of making a decision like that? If you agree with that, then good, we can go home.
We actually agree on something, and I'll give you at least that. So you can make some points, and I agree that Darwin wouldn't have argued about the origin of the universe. I've seen creationists, because that's what I usually argue with. Creationists have criticized Darwin for believing in or for inventing Big Bang. That Darwin was an evolutionist, so he must have invented the Big Bang. And excuse me, Darwin was 100 years before the Big Bang. He'd never heard of the Big Bang. He didn't think that the universe had a beginning.
He didn't come up with that. We agree.
What's that?
We agree. Darwin did not come up with that.
Yeah. So there's a number of things that we actually agree on. But we still have the point that if I take the position that the natural world is all there is, and we both agree that there is a natural world,
yep,
it then falls upon you to show that there is a supernatural alternative. Now, if I take the point that this is all there is, and this is my belief, is that all there is, well, now it's up to you to prove me wrong. Either way, you still have the burden of proof. If all you can do is tell me that I can't prove that there's not magic, that tells me that you can't prove that there is.
And notice you admitted that you would not debate someone on whether metaphysical solipsism is true.
Right, because I don't want to pretend that I've imagined everybody in the room.
Yeah.
And it would be too easy to win that debate.
No.
Anyway,
I'm saying if
I could just have dreamed you up.
If a metaphysical solipsist said, mm-hmm, I challenge you to a debate, is metaphysical am I the only thing that exists? And I challenge you to a debate. And then I say the burden of proof is on you, mm-hmm, to prove that something outside of me exists. But just so you know, I'm going to interpret everything, any evidence you could give me, as my own mental states, just trying to entertain
Understood.
me.
And in the hypothetical debate that you are not currently in, because you can't apparently debate the one you're currently in.
This is an example. It's exactly what's going on.
In the one that you've just invented.
That's called an analogy to make a point.
I understand. And in the answer that I gave you that apparently you didn't hear, my answer to that would be that I would have imagined you to say that. So in the debate that we're actually in on whether naturalism is true, if I take either of the two positions, because I'm good with either one, can you show me that there is something other than the natural? Can you justify any of the false statements that you've made about my position or me or any of that?
I'm not aware of any false statements about your position. I'm talking about naturalism here. And no, if a topic is naturalism true? Yes, one way would be to demonstrate supernaturalism. I said I'd be happy to debate supernaturalism. Okay. Totally happy to do that. If the topic is naturalism true, there's not one way to go about that. You can show that there are problems internal to the position that make it incoherent and make it such that no one can rationally affirm that position who is aware of some of these problems. You're not dealing with any of the problems. You're just saying you have to prove to me some alternative is correct. I'm saying it is a fundamentally incoherent position.
And you failed to make that point. You made an assertion about that. You made an assertion about that, but you failed to make the point. You said things that did not make sense. That if naturalism was true, that there would be these conclusions that are non sequiturs. They don't fit.
What?
So
the ones I got from Darwin and Hume and Patricia Churchland and so on.
Yeah,
those things,
with excluding Churchland, you get them from the 19th century. So
is he wrong?
I don't hold 19th century scientists.
No. I'm saying Darwin is saying, hey, the universe looks designed. Now you could say, hey, we know way more about the universe than we did back then. Mm-hmm. But I have no reason to think that someone couldn't hold the exact same position if he understands. He's not saying that based on how much he knows about the universe. Mm-hmm. He's saying that based on his view of where he got his cognitive faculties. Mm-hmm. So I'm saying a person right now. Notice if you said, "Hey, there's a Big Bang," and a theist would say, "Ah, you see, that's how God created the universe," and an atheist cosmologist would say something completely different. It seems entirely plausible that someone could say, if someone's a naturalist and believes that he arrived at his cognitive faculties in a certain way, would just say, how am I supposed to know whether that has something to do with God or not? I don't know. I have no idea. So I'm saying if you look at where, according to naturalism, how you arrived at your cognitive faculties, your reasoning abilities, how you got them, what the purpose of them is, especially if you consider some of the issues like epiphenomenalism, where your mental states aren't even playing a causal role in what your body is doing, and they're just a weird byproduct, it makes perfect sense to say, I cannot affirm naturalism. I'm not going to affirm anything else. I'm not going to say anything else is true. I'm just saying, how in the name of common sense would I think that I'm made for this kind of thing? I'm not, therefore I don't know. That seems to be Darwin's position. And given his view of how he got his cognitive faculty, he seems entirely right. Even if he knew way more about the universe and way more about the world and way more about the laws of physics and so on, it's still, given that belief, it still makes perfect sense to me to say, how would I know? And that seems to be Hume's position. And I think Hume could learn a lot more about the universe. He could have learned a lot more about the universe. You could let Hume know everything we know right now. He's a genuine skeptic. It looks like he would say, I'm not made for any of this stuff. Given my world, I'm not made for this stuff. How would I know? And that would mean you can't affirm that naturalism is true, which is our debate topic.
Yeah, and so I don't have any contest with the 19th century or indeed the 18th century view of this question. I don't have a problem with that at all. But as I've explained, in either of the positions that I take, it falls upon you to show me that there is an exception, something that is not rational. And what you've given me are arguments that are not rational. Excuse me, I didn't say that. Something that is not natural, something that is supernatural. And what you've given me is arguments that are not rational, that we are not rational simply because we're natural, simply because we do not assume things that are not evidently true nor even possible. You said that was rational, that we should assume things that are not possible or not apparently possible. I would grant that Darwin thought that the universe looks designed. Dawkins has said that the universe looks designed. I've seen things myself that looks like there's a reason that this was devised, and I can figure out the population mechanics, the natural selection, whatever that would lead to something like that appearing to be designed. Is something I call incidental design. I get where these people in earlier decades would have thought something like this, but the question now is the universe just natural, or is there something more? You can't show that there's anything more. All you can do is point to me and says that I can't prove a negative in this case. Okay, maybe I can't prove the negative in this case, a negative that was never indicated, for which there's not even a possibility to consider.
So you're talking about these guys being in the 19th century. Again, I see no reason that a person right now wouldn't hold the same position. So imagine someone like Richard Dawkins. Would you be shocked to see someone who has like the knowledge, the scientific knowledge of Richard Dawkins, sitting back saying, I've thought about this for a while, and I've thought about what my cognitive faculties are for and how they were selected for and what they were meant for, and then how I'm applying them now. And yes, they work really well for certain things, but when it comes to the universe and what something that could be beyond it, or souls or spirits or something like that, I just have no idea. I don't trust my cognitive abilities to make rulings on this sort of thing.
I've already seen Dawkins say things where I wouldn't trust his cognitive abilities on that. Okay, but that's all I can say.
Why are atheists turning against Rich? I don't know.
Because we don't have authority, for one thing. It's all based on the data. That's what I care about. I don't care about personal experiences. Your personal experiences are meaningless. My personal experiences proved to be meaningless. I couldn't trust myself. I wanted objective verification. You're unable to give me that. You can't even recite the things that I told you. You can't even get that right. You turn around and say that I didn't make a case when I clearly made a case. And you say that I won't accept the burden of proof when I clearly did.
Aaron is doing something smart here. Admitting he could be wrong about his own judgment does not mean every wild alternative suddenly deserves a seat at the table. He can distrust personal experience, ask for real verification, and still rank ideas by how much evidence they actually have. Uncertainty comes in degrees. Saying, "I can't prove this with 100% certainty," does not hand supernaturalism a single point. And this is where Wood's whole Hume and Darwin routine gets weird. He treats their intellectual humility like it's some kind of admission against naturalism. But recognizing your brain has limits is totally compatible with reaching solid working conclusions. Almost everything we believe about reality could technically be wrong. The real question is how well each idea holds up when you actually test it. Aaron can stay open to being wrong and still say natural explanations are way better supported. Wood needs to bring something that actually lifts the supernatural above, well, I guess it's possible. Otherwise, his skepticism gets weirdly selective. Uncertainty tears down naturalism, but never touches the God story sitting right next to it.
All right, so again, just to recap, naturalism, is it true? I made an argument in my opening statement that if you can look at this in multiple ways. You can look at it just from the perspective of what your cognitive faculties are, if the natural world is all that exists. It's all particles in motion. Again, if you tell it, it's very common to say to the Christian, oh, you were raised to believe in God, and that's why you believe in God. You were just raised that way. Well, guess what? So you're raised by other people with functioning minds to believe in something. That's considered a justification for dismissing it. Like if you were just raised to believe in something, that doesn't make it true or something like that. Imagine if the reason you believe in something is completely mindless particles in motion. The reason you believe or don't believe, the reason you believe in God or you don't believe in God, is all just a series of particle interactions. And this was decided for you long before you were born because everything is causally determined. Do you think that might be a problem? No, it's not. According to our atheist friends, it's no consideration whatsoever. If you take, again, very popular position, it's the position of Thomas Huxley, epiphenomenalism, that your mental states are actually just a weird byproduct of the physical processes that are going on. The physical processes are proceeding exactly according to causal determinism. Your mental states are like a train whistle. Choo choo. That's it. That's all that it is. It plays no causal role in what leads to those beliefs. Do you think that might be a problem for treating your assessments of all of reality as valid? I certainly would. And then you have, if you're talking about how you got your cognitive faculties, where did you get them? What was the process? Well, our atheist friends can lay out exactly how it happened. How do we get these beliefs? They were selected. And the processes that gave us our cognitive faculties are the exact same processes that gave the tiger its claws and the baboon its colorful rear end. Why would you think that you could take an ability like that and use it to determine all of reality? Or to say, hey, this person says he witnessed a miracle. This person doesn't know what he's talking about. This person's wrong. Why do you think he's wrong? Because my particles in my mind determined me to think like that. So the point here is, again, it's not naturalism versus supernaturalism. You could have a debate like that. if the topic is whether naturalism is true, if the position is simply incoherent and it self-destructs, great, take that into account. Then you can investigate whether supernaturalism is true. But we just don't have a good reason to think that naturalism is true. You can say I'm agnostic about it, or I don't trust my cognitive faculties, but you have no reason to just say that this position is correct. So I would say if you understand all of it, you understand what your mental abilities and your mental states and your cognitive faculties are according to naturalism, if you still trust your cognitive faculties after that, either you're not really a naturalist or you're just a terrible and inconsistent naturalist. I just wanted to point out, lots of times we show up to debates to attack other people's positions. And we want to say, hey, attack that other person's position. Occasionally, we're trying to understand other people's position. And yes, I like the attacking part. I do. But I would like it if everyone at least understood the thinking going on here. If you ever want to understand what's going on in my head when we're having a discussion like this, it goes something like this. This debate and every debate we have, and every debate that's ever been on modern day debate, if I'm looking at that, it makes way more sense to me that we're having these kinds of debates if we're using faculties that have some other origin other than just mindless processes and particles in motion. So it really looks to me like something else is going on here. Can I defend supernaturalism? Happy to do that, Aron. Happy to have that discussion. But as of right now, even just having this discussion, all I really hear out of you the entire time is, don't take naturalism seriously. It can't be taken seriously.
All right, thank you for your closing statement there. 5 minutes on the clock for you, Aron.
Well, that wasn't remotely what I implied in any way at all. Despite that grotesque mischaracterization at the very end, I want to thank David Wood for being what I suspected would be the case. I've seen a number of your previous debates, and when I've seen you argue against Muslims, very coherent arguments, very well thought out and done. And so I realized when I accepted a chance to debate you that it would be a more challenging debate than the last several that I have had. And I'm being completely honest. But that said, it still occurs to me that, and I always want to understand the other person's position. Even when I'm talking to a Muslim or a flat earther, I want to know where they got to where they are. I really, really do. And sometimes it's completely mystifying. The problem that I have with believers like yourself is that all of you collectively seem to have this terrible problem understanding the concept of emergence. How something can happen with an appearance of implied or inherent, or incidental design that was not intentionally designed. It's like you have this perspective that everything has to be governed from the top down, when really it's emergent from the bottom up. And we've got lots of indications that this is the case, and nothing whatsoever to imply that it was dictated from the top down. That just doesn't happen. How much time do I have? Okay, thank you. So all the claims, absolutely all of them, for all the supernatural shit, you can find everybody has their own supernatural stuff. You can find clergy that have volumes of supernatural claims. Not one thing can be verified. Lots of it can be falsified. There is no truth to any religion. Nothing we can show to be true. Nothing that any religion can show that they're any more accurate about than every other religion. And every other religion is all declaring that they're the absolute truth and the revealed word of the one true God, even when they can't agree on what God that is, if they have a God, because some of them don't. Some of them have something different. But they're all professing their personal experience. They're all expressing how they have this personal evidence and this, whatever it is that drives them to this belief. I want to understand it. I just can't. I'm sorry that I don't have a problem understanding how population mechanics can lead to implicit inherent, or what was the word I used? Incidental appearance of design, because it just naturally would. I never had a problem understanding that. Believers constantly have this issue. And then you retort by telling me that it is irrational. This is the part that I'm having a problem with. You tell me that it is irrational not to assume things that are not implied, or things that are not indicated, things that are not possible, that I should assume these things, that I should accept that this is the probability when it's not even a possibility. I have a problem with that. You have to show me that it's a possibility first, then show me that it's a probability, then show me that it's a fact. We can't get to the first step because there is evidently no truth at all to anything supernatural whatsoever. There's no souls, there's no God, all the scriptures are made up folklore, fantasy folklore, myths and legends and all of that as a compilation. There's just nothing else. That faith healing doesn't work. Faith healers don't work in hospitals. I mean, all we have, frauds, falsehoods, fallacies. That's it. That's all. That's the entirety of it. You can come tell me that you're a Reiki master. You're no different to the Pope. It's all make-believe bullshit. I was hoping, from someone of your caliber, that I would get something better than that.
Aron's point about emergence completely dismantles Wood's whole mindless particles framing. Calling the ingredients mindless tells you nothing about what they can do when you put them together. One neuron doesn't write books or doubt God or solve equations, but wire billions of them up the right way, and suddenly all of that shows up. Demanding intelligence at the bottom before you accept intelligence at the top would rule out emergence by definition, which is dumb because we watch emergence happen all the time. And Wood saying the supernatural just makes more sense to him, that's another trap. Explanations feel satisfying to humans when they involve agents and intentions, because that's how our brains are wired to think. But nature doesn't owe us the answer our intuition finds easiest. That's why Aron's possibility to probability thing is so sharp. Before you can call something probable, you have to first show it's even a real option on the table. Then you compare how well it explains stuff against the other options. Only then does probability come in. Wood is skipping straight to probable for something he hasn't even shown is a possibility yet. What Aron does really well here is refuse to give his own brain special treatment. He straight up admits personal experiences can fool him, memory fails, and something feeling convincing does not make it real. That is actually way stronger than Wood gives him credit for. Aron is not claiming humans have some perfect line to reality. He is saying our conclusions have to pass tests outside our own heads. Being willing to distrust yourself is one of the best defenses against believing nonsense. Honestly, I think Aron could have hit Wood harder on one thing. Wood keeps talking like a thought having physical causes somehow makes it untrue. But why? A belief having a cause tells you where it came from, not whether it is correct. Wood's beliefs have causes too. His memories, his upbringing, his brain activity, all put that Christian at the table. Unless Wood thinks his own thoughts magically float into his head with no physical process, describing Aron's reasoning in brain terms does not defeat it. Aron's closing hits on a bigger weakness in Christian thinking when he talks about top-down explanations. Christianity puts an agent behind basically everything. Minds come from a bigger mind. Morality comes from a moral authority. Purpose comes from a creator. The universe comes from an intentional being. Humans love explanations with agents because agents are familiar. We see something organized and instantly ask who did it. But reality is not obligated to look like human craftsmanship. Snowflakes form these insane, detailed structures with no snowflake designer arranging every branch. Economies develop features nobody planned. Languages grow grammar and change across generations with no committee writing the rules. Complex stuff can come out of tons of small interactions. Sticking an agent in the middle makes the story easier for a human brain to swallow, but feeling satisfied is not evidence the agent is real. And this is where Wood's whole attack falls flat. He wants Aron to explain why human reasoning should be trusted, but Christianity has a massive reliability problem of its own. If God designed human minds, why are humans so incredibly good at reaching completely different conclusions about that same God? Christians cannot even agree with each other on baptism, salvation, predestination, hell, communion, how to read the Bible, on, while reading the same scriptures with faculties supposedly from the same creator. Aron's position does not need humans to be flawless thinkers. His whole approach assumes we are not. That is exactly why he throws out his own experiences when they cannot survive real scrutiny. There is something refreshingly ruthless about that. If an experience he wanted to believe was supernatural falls apart when investigated, he drops it. Christianity too often does the opposite. The conclusion is protected, and the explanations get built around it later. If you enjoyed the debate, drop your take in the comments, like the video, and subscribe to the channel. And as always, support the original creators and check out the full debate on their platform.